Hey, everybody. Something that's been weighing on my mind recently is accountability, especially with vendors. As a managed service provider, we use a fair number of vendors, both cybersecurity and just in general day-to-day IT usage and hardware, software, what have you. And they span the gamut with their offerings from basically just selling hardware or software, providing a license key and a user manual and telling us to go do what we need to do, to the entire opposite, which is being fully white glove. We just kind of communicate what we're looking for and they take off and do everything else from there. Then, of course, there are the vendors that kind of fall anywhere in between on that spectrum, which is most of the vendors. One thing that's been of particular interest to me these past couple weeks as we've been reviewing our vendor relationships has been making sure that our vendors are actually following through and capable of delivering what they say they can deliver and what they commit to delivering. Not going to name any names, but we've found one vendor where we've lost faith in them being able to deliver at the level that they claim and say they're going to deliver at. And it's not putting any of our clients at risk or anything like that, but it's certainly raised some concerns with regards to the vendor relationship we have and with the account management, and we're working with them to rectify. But it's just kind of it made me pause and kind of reflect on how we choose the vendors we work with and what controls and processes we should be putting in place, or how we can improve what we already have in place for reviewing vendors to ensure that we catch these situations sooner in the engagement. And so just from one business owner to another, I want to encourage you to take the time to reflect. And if you don't have the time, make the time, because the reality is your employees are the ones that are going to be working with your vendors more likely than not. Typically, you're not the one that's just engaged with them the most. And if the relationship is not the best, or if they're not, the vendor isn't delivering to the standards that you expect, it's not necessarily you that, as the business owner, that's paying the price. It's your employees that are suffering and having to do extra work, or they're not getting what they're expecting from their vendor. And I mean, I know I'm guilty of it. We all are, of kind of, look, I'm an old school guy. I may be young, but I'm old at heart. And I'm a strong believer in the handshake agreement. And I know it's 2023, the world we live in means we have to have contracts, but my word is my bond. The contract is there because we have to in this day and age. But I want to deliver what I say I'm going to deliver. And when I talk to a vendor, I expect that same level, and not everyone operates that way. And I get that. But I know to an extent that factors into my decision-making process when we're looking at selecting vendors is, do I believe we can trust that they're going to deliver? And it's not a case of trustworthiness. It's not a case of not believing what your vendors say they can do for you. But I think it's more of a case of trust and verify, the belt and suspenders approach. It's expect, but inspect. I mean, it's always good to go back and just make sure, double check every once in a while. And who knows, maybe it's an opportunity for you to grow with your vendor. If you can come to them and say, look, we're having some issues. We want to work with you to rectify them. Because if we're having them, I'm expecting I assume some of your other clients are having these similar issues with you as a vendor as well. And if you approach the relationship with your vendor from that perspective, you're on the same side. You're their partner. You're not their customer. You're their partner, trying to help them improve their process and keep them around. Because the reality is, we all rely on each other. I'm a vendor and I'm a client, right? And so, like, I rely on my clients to their businesses to stay in business, so that we keep operating. We're able to deliver service to them. And they rely on their clients for the same reason. And so, like, we're all in this together is what I'm trying to say. And if you haven't reviewed your vendor relationships in a while, I want to encourage you to take the time, make the time to do it. It's worthwhile, and don't approach it from a perspective of you're not meeting X, Y, and Z in the contract, big hammer smash, I'm angry, Hulk type of an approach, but rather one of compassion and one of how can we help you, vendor, to address this? Is there something that we're engaging with you in a manner that is not conducive for your success? And I know that might be hard for some. I'm a high D personality followed by a high C. And so it's like, I want it now and I want it done right. And it needs to be done right the first time. And so it's a constant pressure for me to kind of remind myself that, we need to slow down. We're all trying to help each other, and that the rising tide is going to raise all ships. And so if you approach it from that perspective, you're going to find your vendors are going to be more likely to work with you, come alongside you and help you out. And their delivery is going to improve. It's like the old saying, what is it? You catch more flies with honey than vinegar, or something like that. And it's so true. Just slow down. How would you want one of your clients approaching you ultimately at the end of the day? And so with this vendor that we're working with and trying to rectify, I wrote up, I think we're close to 30 pages in a write-up of deficiencies, of failures. And it's not just like a novel. It's screenshots and emails and all that, backing up our perception of the failures in the relationship, or issues rather. And I was talking to a fellow business owner that we kind of meet with once a week and just kind of go over some of our challenges and trying to help each other out and kind of boost each other up. And I showed him what we were working on, and he goes, "Why are you wasting all your time doing this?" And that really struck me a little bit, because I didn't see it as waste time. And so we had this conversation too. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'd want one of my clients that's having these issues, if they were having it with us and our delivery, to take the time to do this for us, to help us improve and understand where we aren't up to snuff. And so I'm going to take that same approach with our vendor. And it's really improved the process with our vendor, the engagement with them to trying to rectify the situation is night and day different with this vendor, where I'm investing in them to try and help them, versus ones where we've gone, hey, we've got issues, this isn't working out, we want out of our agreement, and it's a night and day difference. Let's just leave it at that. So I know this has kind of rambled on a little bit here for 8-9 minutes or so, but again, I just want to, final thought is encourage you to take the time to invest in your vendors, to invest in your clients, and always invest in your people.